All right, so it was the Forbidden Force Techniques on page 134. Force Grip, Force Insanity, Deadly Sight, Moricro, and Emerald Lightning. Force Grip, okay, so Force Insanity puts one into a state of terror. Okay, a lot of people don't know that Americans, the government and the intelligence agencies, etc. There's millions of people involved in the covert terrorism of people, gang stalking, covert harassment. I know for sure. Before I was targeted, I saw a degree of it when I used to hang out with gang members in the street, and I used to ask myself, why this, why that, and it became more apparent to me as I started looking into these things and being targeted myself. Okay, so. Deadly sight, okay, fury and hatred, harassed by deadly blisters, okay, and they vaporize extremities. What most people don't know is that the government can actually shrink your penis and things like that using your brain, your physiology. You know, your brain, and it regulates your body, and that includes your penis, and it includes, the food you take. There's a lot more things that affect your penis size than you might think. There's a lot more things that affect your body shape in general than you might think. Okay, I'll leave it there. So Moricro, slow down body function. Here we go. Yeah, the next one is slow down body function. Okay, Emerald Lightning. Okay, kinetic. Basically, Emerald Lightning is a technique in which a Jedi can spray electric bolts of variable intensity from the hands and fingers. This technique is closely related to the dark side power of Sith lightning, but it springs from a sense of determined justice and has been studied by some masters under controlled conditions. Its energies can also be contained in a ball of pure kinetic force known as a kinetite. Okay, so here is really where I wanted to start the video. Okay, it is the form 7. Okay, the juyo. Ra, ya, ra, y, o, y, your, o, yay. Okay, so when you kind of put things together, sometimes you have to put the word play together. I go as far as saying more often than not to make sense of it. You have to translate all the different logical translations of the word. Okay, using the codex, the Masonic codex, the lexicon, etymology, morphology to take form. Anyway, and so on and so forth, linguistics and phonetics and so on. Okay, and it's basically saying they're focusing their jealousy against people, first and foremost against people like me that are the natural order, but also against other people, right? They're mad because they're not meant to be the martial arts order. So they're focusing it against their opponent, whether that opponent is part of the martial art order or not. You know, there's various ways to focus your rage, your outrage, and so on. And the highest form of it is moral outrage. And in the absence, when you have a fair fight, someone like me can't lose to someone like them. We're built for this. We have a higher cause, and we focus that more effectively. You know, our brain structure, our brain chemical, our physiology, etc. You know, it goes back to the hippocampus, the amygdala, the striatum, the thalamus, the gray matter, the white matter, the cerebellum, okay, the cortex, motor functions, the dopamine. Dopamine is very much involved in this process, and drugs and psych meds affect this process, okay. So anyway, the way of Vorksker, or the ferocity form. The Vorksker animal is actually a mix. I probably can't find it real quickly. It's a mix between a dragon and a leopard, or a panther. And it goes back to the word pan, right? The leopard is the Calla Heliopolis. The panther is something else, okay? And of course, people abuse the leopard as a symbol. Here we go. The Vorksker, okay? Look at its head. Look at the shape of its body. It's like a dragon trying to pretend that it is a leopard, okay? So this is the way of the Vorksker, or the ferocity form, okay? The attacks under the guidance of controlled passion. This seemingly violates the precepts: there is no emotion, there is no peace. Practitioners said to channel their inner turmoil into a mental forge, which provides the passion to power their raw and furious strikes. Lesser practitioners of the art might allow the emotions to spell out during battle. Okay, this is also a key phrase. Poisoning their intentions and drawing them into the fury of a dark side rage. This is kind of a warning to the cheaters that, you know, you are vulnerable to somebody who is more in the right than you are. okay, and is more as a more logically, they're more logically focused because of that, because you are thrown off. So there's varying degrees of this technique. A dark side person is way thrown off, focusing in a completely immoral rage, while they are a little bit less completely evil, trying to focus, their jealousy instead of pure evil. Okay, it's kind of like someone who sees himself as a good guy who's like, I'm jealous, versus someone who's like pure evil saying, ah, I'm gonna focus, Anyway, so okay, movements are sharp and chaotic, and the drills are not really the technique. It is the excitement and the passion. You can drill some of the movements into your head, but it's not really the technique. It's the excitement, passion, and the rage that quote unquote color your actions. A lot of cute little words and terminology there to get you to understand the terms of and the conditions, right? And conditioning and mental conditioning and so on. Attacks can eviscerate defenses, even the blocks of a Form 3 master. Form 7 leads its non-Sun Temple, I put that there, practitioner vulnerable and open to counterattack. They recommend multiple opponents when dealing with this form to shut it down, to defeat the person. And the force pulls and shoves make this person vulnerable. Okay, and that in terms of technology and drugs are things that pull you off balance and in ways that they can subtly pull you and shove you. And yes, they have the technology to do stuff like that. I mean, there's so many ways, even off the top of my head, I'll bring up, one that has nothing to do with anything I've researched there. If they implanted some kind of a magnet or some kind of a receptive kind of a material, they could have a great magnet behind the scenes and pull you off balance, right? It's little things like that. Of course, they have more complex ways of doing it, and they don't need to give you any material, but that's just a very obvious way that they could kind of imitate, kind of present this thing as if that's what's going on. Anyway. But let's see. It says Master Windu has developed a variant of Form 7 called Vapad Qigong, but he won't let me study it. This is what Obi-Wan Kenobi wrote in the notes, because all through this thing there's little notes on the side, like Yoda here, okay? And I don't want to show you too much of the book. All right, so that's we've done there. Okay, there's additional lightsaber techniques. I may as well go over that right now. And we'll end it there after this. Okay, the saber throw, hurl and return a lightsaber with the telekinesis or force alter pinwheel or spear motion. So you can throw it like a pinwheel, or you can throw it like a spear motion, right? Spirit, right? Throwing spears. Who are the spear chuckers? And why did they start doing it that way? To reduce the bloodshed. And then in the movie Shaka Zulu, at least, he brought back stabbing people, and so he could push his empire, which was a massive empire with a lot of soldiers. All right, so mounted combat, you calm the beast. There's different techniques there. There's the Trakata, switch on and off the lightsaber, okay? To, basically you switch it on and off tactically to defeat your opponent or opponents. Anyway, Sokon, surrounding terrain as a weapon, using home territory, okay? It goes without saying this has everything to do with my sparring challenge outside versus people who sink the mat. You kind of sink to the mat. Basically favors European and Eurasian body types, where the outdoor terrain naturally favors a specific group of Africans that are tall and coordinated. Is the best way to describe it simply and quickly. Anyway, the Majesty of Sky developed Tripzet, aerial swordplay used by wing warriors. Okay. They have a home stance, home O-E shape, okay? Bodies honed by guardians form with acrobatics, okay? Okay, so basically the home stance has everything to do with the home shape, okay? The shape that they were in, from their tribe, their clan, whatever, where they're from, their region, okay, has to do with their stance. And their bodies have been honed by Guardians Form 5 with the acrobatics of 4. And Obi-Wan Kenobi says Form 4 is made safer with a touch of Form 3. And Form 3 is the blocking. And Form 4 is an acrobatic kind of form. Anyway, So it leads us to dun mock, nod mock, OC, break an opponent's concentration or shatter his or her morale, telling enemies they have no chance to win using surrender. Of course, this is part of the psychological operations units in America. Where, you know, Michael Aquino, Mind War, look it up. He came out with a little paper where he was a colonel at the time in the psychological operations unit for about 45 minutes away from here in San Francisco, the Army Presidio base. And I went over the patches before, right? Some people are dumb and they don't even know that they're psychological operations unit in the military, making the idea that propaganda doesn't exist completely absurd, and making the idea that it's limited to campaigns and political parties completely absurd. Okay. Of course, there are people who are that dumb that I literally have to explain that to, that these things are massive campaigns. We look at this guy. It's like the 3rd Airborne PSYOP unit. Okay, this is just one unit. And there's many of them, right? Here's the 11th PSYOP unit. Some branch of the military. Okay. There's special operations units. They have different patches and so on and so forth. Okay. I've more than covered this, and of course this has everything to do with secret societies, right? Cops help them run their psyops. This is actually a police police patch. You know, the Blue Boys. Here's the Boston Police right there. Okay. Minds, Words, Deeds, 15th PSYOP unit, BN, whatever that is. Okay. 13th PSYOP unit, Power of Persuasion. So, of course, these things have everything to do with Star Wars. You're out of your mind if you don't see that. One of their techniques is dun mock, to break an opponent's concentration or shatter his or her morale. Do I really have to explain to you how that ties into the Egyptian pyramid and the psychological operations unit, the power of persuasion, the power to influence, and around here somewhere is a patch, here it is, the power to exploit those weaknesses that you have created. That's the purpose of a PSYOP unit, and yes, it has to do with Western culture and mystery schools and Greek mythology, matology, mathology, and so on. Enlisting new members before, okay, so enlisting new members before, by Merit Chagale, okay. Jedi do not marry or breed powerful lineages from its greatest members. All have Force connections. Force-sensitive beings persecuted as demonic magicians must come as infants, concentrations of midi-chlorians in an infant's cell. Now, in a eugenics society, it is laughable that they actually believe that. That is nonsense. They do not breed powerful lineages from people like me. Yes, 100% agree. That part of it is true. They do not, they do breed using transhumanism and eugenics and philosophies and techniques, and manipulating, things, using epigenetics and so on and so forth, and manipulating the, whatever, the process of pregnancy and birth and so on, to have kind of designer genes. Okay, they do believe that 100%. Now everything, they have a science and math unit in the, in the Jedi, right? They deal in philosophy, biology, science, math, pretty much every science you can imagine. Okay, that's part of the Jedi study. They have a ship where they study it, right? This is basically like the Scottish Rite Handbook. This is basically the MK Ultra. On record, the Scottish Rite funded MK Ultra. On record, this is a book written by a psychiatrist. Okay, the CIA doctors. Okay, on record, it's on page 33 or some shit. Okay, so yes, this is what they believe. It's stupid not to see that. Well, here we go. Page 11. Okay. The mind control work was funded by CIA, Army, Navy, and Air Force, and concurrently by other agencies, including the Public Health Service and the Scottish Rite Foundation. It's highlighted for you. This guy reviewed 15,000 MK Ultra documents, and incidentally, they're releasing more in the news. The news said they're going to release more due to the Freedom of Information Act, and crowdfunding allowed for it to happen. Who knows where they're going with that? But this guy is actually a psychiatrist himself. Okay. The CIA doctors. Yes, this is what's going on. Yes, you're an idiot if you don't connect movies to Western propaganda, to propaganda units that have to do with PSYOPs, which is short for psychological operations. If you don't connect mental health, psychiatry, therapy, psychologists, and so on to upholding the standards of the state and corporate corruption and rape and murder and violence and gangs and all this stuff put together, you're fucking insane. You're cartoon. Okay? Cartoon. The tune you play in your car, the devil's tune. Tune and tone. I'm out of time.